Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel. And today I want to talk about the real estate market on the beautiful island of Mallorca. But unfortunately, I'm going to give you 10 reasons why I think you shouldn't invest in this market. So reason number one, it's very, very expensive. So if we take the capital, Palma de Mallorca, it is the third most expensive city in Spain to invest after Barcelona and Madrid, and expect to pay upwards of 4,000 euros per square meter for a good property. But it's not just Palma de Mallorca that's expensive. Other parts of the island are also expensive to buy. Other lovely parts. So, for example, what I can think of is Soler, Port Andrax, Arta, Alaró. Expect to pay more than €1 million for a good villa, a nice villa, or a nice house. Number two are the buy-sell costs. So expect here to pay up to 20%. And let me just break this down. So the purchase costs for, let's take a new property. You'll pay stamp duty of 10%. For an existing property, for a value up to 400,000 euros, you'll pay 8%. If it's more than that, on the portion between 400,000 and 600,000 euros, expect to pay 9%. Above 600,000 euros, you'll pay 10%. Now, for both new and existing property, further fees are these. So expect to pay legal fees of up to 1.5%, other property fees of up to 1%, and registry fee of up to 1%. And when it comes to selling the property, you'll pay on average about 5% to the estate agent. Number three are the quite high rental income taxes in Spain in general. So if you're a non-resident EU person, you'll pay 19%, but you will get deductions. But if you're non-EU, you'll pay 24% with no deductions whatsoever. Number four is Brexit. Now, I've put this in here because approximately 27% of buyers on the island of Mallorca are foreign, and the highest number of these are actually British. Now, with a hard Brexit, which has just been signed in the last, it should be signed in the next day or two, the pound is likely to stay low, which means fewer buyers. It's more expensive for British buyers. As well, they're going to have to pay the higher rental income tax because they're no longer members of the EU. And as of now, in EU countries, increases in pensions for retired people, for retired British people, are not guaranteed to increase. This hasn't been decided yet, but if this were to happen, it's going to be less attractive for British buyers to buy in Spain, retired British buyers. Number five are the rental contracts. So for long-term rental contracts, the tenant has the right to ask for a 5-year minimum contract, which is quite long. And once this contract is up, you cannot raise the rent by more than the current rate of inflation. But if you thought that was quite restrictive, it isn't that restrictive when you compare it to short-term rentals. And many people who buy in Mallorca will probably want to rent either their own apartment, which they live in part of the time, or if they've just bought it as an investment, they'll want to rent it out on a short-term basis to tourists. So short-term rentals will classify these as no more than a month at a time. But unfortunately in Mallorca, you need to obtain a tourist license, and there's 3 types. So for a villa or semi-detached home, you've got to get what is known as an ETV 365 license, and this costs start from 3,500 euros, although they are a one-time cost. Now, if you want to rent out your apartment on a short-term basis, you're going to have to obtain what is known as an ETV 365 pluri license. This lasts for 5 years and costs from 875 euros upwards, but it lasts for only 5 years, and then you'll have to pay again. Now, if it's your main residence, you're going to have to apply for what is an ETV 60 license, and here you can you can't rent out for more than 60 days per year. And this also lasts for 5 years, and the cost is from 291 euros upwards. But I'm going to come to point number 6. If you thought that was restrictive, there are even more restrictions. So your property, if you want to rent it out on a short-term basis, has to be in an area which is valid for this license, for this short-term rental license. And there are many areas which don't allow you to rent on a short-term basis on the island of Mallorca. Let's take Palma, for example. So in Palma, if you buy a flat or apartment, you cannot obtain a rental license. So in effect, you cannot rent on a short-term basis. And for a detached home, if you buy, certain areas are just not eligible. So basically, the only chance you have is if you buy a detached house and it's an area which is registered for short-term rentals. Now, whatever you do, do not think of breaking the law, because fines are very, very steep. They're up to 40,000 euros on the island of Mallorca. And other further restrictions are that you cannot rent out individual rooms on the island of Mallorca. It has to be the whole property. And for newer properties from 2008, built from 2008 onwards, you have to have an energy rating of D+ on the property. For older properties before 2008, it has to be F+. Now, I'm sure you'll agree with me, all these restrictions do not make for a good investment. And what you'll find is that in areas which have short-term tourist licenses, they're zoned for those type of licenses, properties are much more expensive, and these make the yields lower. So I'm sure you'll agree with me. That isn't great. Number 7, I want to come to other taxes. So capital gains tax is 19% when you sell your property. It's not particularly high, but it's not low either. And when it comes to that, if you're non-resident, the government will keep 3% of the sales proceeds for a time. So you can only get these back once you fill out the proper tax forms. And this can take a long time. So it can take a long time to actually get your money back. And also I have to say the courts in Spain tend to be quite slow as well. And also don't think of it buying really, really expensive properties, because you have quite high wealth taxes on the Balearic Islands. So for an individual, if you buy something of more than €1 million, or if you're a couple and buy something of more than 2 million euros, you're going to have to pay a wealth tax. And this ranges from 0.28% for assets up to approximately 170,000 euros to 3.4% on assets above 10.9 million euros. I think the figure is 10,909,000 euros. Now, so that makes purchasing very expensive property on the island of Mallorca quite unattractive. Number 8, what I also look at is local affordability. So again, if we take the city of Palma de Mallorca, the average salary is only about 1,300 euros net per month. And given the high cost of property, it tells me that the locals find it very difficult to afford property. And this means, I think, that prices are not likely to increase very much in the future. Number 9, I just want to give you a couple of economic statistics. So in Spain, there's quite a high total government debt to GDP. This in 2019 was 95%, and it's expected to increase at the end of 2020, so around about now, to 115%. That's quite high. And unemployment on the island of Mallorca is high as well. So in 2018 and 2019, it was around 10%. But due to COVID-19, this year, it has increased to 13%. Last but not least, point number 10, political risk. Now, in Spain at the moment, you have a coalition between the socialists, so the Socialist Workers' Party led by Pedro Sanchez, and Podemos, who are an ultra-neo-Marxist party. And they're pushing for quite strong reforms in the housing market. So they want to stop all evictions. They want to increase taxes on property. They want to penalise owners of empty property. They want to clamp down on tourist rentals as if there wasn't enough restrictions on the island of Mallorca. And they want to end tax breaks for real estate investment trusts. And real estate investment trusts use these tax breaks. It actually encouraged them to invest in the rental housing. Now, given these 10 points, I think Mallorca is definitely not an investment opportunity for the property investor. I think if you want to buy, it's a lifestyle purchase, and it's a good lifestyle purchase if you buy reasonably priced property. Of course, on the expensive side, you're going to have to worry about wealth taxes. So unfortunately, I'm going to have to give this a thumbs down, although I love the island of Mallorca. I've been there 3 times I've been. I love it. Beautiful place to have a holiday, but it's not a real estate investment opportunity. Anyway, if you do like this video, please click the like button. It does help me a lot. If you like my videos, please do subscribe. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you very soon. Thank you, and bye-bye.